Yomi, Tractate Zevachim, page 31. Hey, top of the page, the word is Hashta. Hashta Gezayis, Gezayis Klala, Gezayis Lamach Bachuz, Mibaye. Now, that Rabbi Yehuda concedes that even an olive bulk and an olive bulk is one general term. Oh, I'm not sure what the difference is. Oh, an olive bulk and an olive bulk is one general term. Is it necessary to inquire with regard to an olive bulk the next day outside? I'm not sure what that means, but let's continue. Maybe we'll find out. The Gemara presents another version of this discussion. Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi might say that if Rabbi Yehuda maintains that even when one says an olive bulk the next day outside, each term is considered separate, is it necessary to inquire with regard to an olive bulk? An olive bulk? I have no idea what they're saying here. Maybe you do, but I have no idea, but I'm just going to continue. Itmar Chatzizai, something about terminologies of olive bulk. Okay. Itmar Chatzizais, Kutzizmano, Chatzizais. Oh, half of an olive and half of about an olive, of around an olive, maybe that's what it means. Okay. Chatzizais, Kutzizmano. Chatzizais, Kutzimkomo. Chatzizais, Kutzizmano, Marava. Vaikatz Kayashin, Apigul. V'Rav Hamnuna Amar, Eruv Machshavos Havi. It was stated, if one had intent to eat half an olive bulk beyond its designated time, half an olive bulk outside its designated area, and another half olive bulk beyond its designated time, Rava says in such a case the pigul awaked as one asleep. Psalm 78:65. Vayikatski Ashan. Interesting, he's a poetic language there. He uses a poet there. Rava. Meaning, since one had intent to consume two halves of an olive bulk beyond their designated time, these intentions are joined together. The middle thought is disregarded since it constitutes only half the requisite measure, and the offering is rendered pigul. And Rav Hamnuna says it constitutes a combination of improper intentions. The middle thought, although itself insufficient to disqualify the offering, is sufficient to interfere with the intention to consume it beyond its time, and the offering is not rendered pigul. It's not rishon sheni שבללן זה בזה ראשון, חילקן זה שני וזה שני, החזר וערבן, ראשון הרי. Rava said, from where, meaning from based on what do I state my ruling? As we learned in the Mishnah, Taharot 1.5, an egg bulk of food with which first degree impurity, and an egg bulk of food with second degree impurity that one makes together are collectively considered to have first degree impurity. If one separated them into two portions, each containing a homogeneous mixture, this portion is considered to have second degree impurity, and that portion is considered to have second degree impurity. Since neither of them contains the requisite amount of food with first degree impurity, each mixture settles to the lower level of impurity between the two foods. Rava reasoned, but if one mixed them again, they revert to be of first degree impurity. Mimai. From where do I know these? From the fact that the latter clause of the Mishnah teaches Nafal ze biatzmo v'ze biatzmo al kikar shel truma v'sulua Nafal shneim gachas asu ashpia. From the fact, where do I know this? From the fact that the latter clause of that Mishnah teaches, if this portion fell by itself, and that portion fell by itself onto a loaf of truma, it disqualifies it, as would any food with a second degree impurity, but it does not render it impure, since only foods with first degree impurity impart impurity to other foods. But if they both fell simultaneously onto the loaf, they render it a food with second degree impurity. Eventually, although the first degree impurity lay dormant for lack of a requisite measure, it resurfaces when the rest of the measure is added, despite the fact that each portion was previously considered to have second degree impurity. The halacha would be the same in the case of intent to consume the offering beyond its designated time, meaning the intent to consume half an olive bulb outside its area does not interfere with the intent of pigul. Rav Hamnuna says the cases are different. There, in the case of ritual purity, there is a requisite measure present at the outset, which is divided and then recombined. Here, in the case of the offering, there is no requisite measure present at the outset to render it pigul. Amar Rav Hamnuna min hamila itna nochel shenitma be'av hatuma b'shenitma bevlad hatuma mitztarfin ze im ze litame bekal שבשניהם מאי לאו אף על גב דהדר מליה. Rav Hamnuna said, from where do I say my opinion? As we learned in another Mishnah in Elah 7b, the food that became ritually impure through contact with the primary source of ritual impurity, thereby assuming first degree impurity, and the food that became ritually impure through contact with a derivative source of spiritual impurity, thereby assuming second degree impurity, join together to constitute the requisite measure of an egg bulk to impart impurity in accordance with the more lenient of the two, meaning as a food of second degree impurity. What is it not that they retain second degree impurity even if one makes up the requisite measure again? If so, it can be inferred that the first degree impurity is lost, and it does not lie dormant or resurface. Here as well, the latter intent of pigul cannot restore the initial intent of pigul, as the intent to consume half an olive bulk outside its area interfered. Dilma Dilohavimalia. The Gemara responds, perhaps the Mishnah is referring specifically to a case where one does not complete the requisite measure again. The Chatzi Zayis Chutz Tani Parakabra Pigul. Ein Chatzi Zayis Mo'il Binkom Kizayis. The Gemara presents similar cases. When Rav Dimi came from Eretz Israel, he said, if one had intent to eat half an olive bulk outside its designated area, and half an olive bulk beyond its designated time, and then another half an olive bulk beyond its designated time, Bar Kapara teaches that the offering is rendered pigul, since the half olive bulk with regard to the area is not effective to interfere, where the intent with regard to the time concerns a whole olive bulk. Ki asarabin, ki asarabin, ki asarabin, ki asarabin, ki asarabin, Omar Chatzi Zayid Chutz Mizmano Chatzi Zayid Chutz Mizmano Chatzi Zayid Chutz Mizmano Tani Merkabarai Pigul Ve'ein Chatzi Zayid Mo'il Bimkom K'Zayid. When Rabin came from Eretz Israel, he stated a different formulation. If one had intent to eat half an olive bulb beyond its time, and then another half an olive bulb beyond its time, and then half an olive bulb beyond that area, Bar Kapara teaches that the offering is rendered pigul, since half an olive bulb is not effective to interfere with the intent of pigul concerns, where the intent of pigul concerns a whole olive bulb. Rav Ashi Masni Hachi Chatzi Zayis Chutz Mano Uzayis Chatzio Chutz Limkomo Chatzio Chutz Mano Tani Merkabara Pigul in Chatzi Zayis Mo'il Bimkom K'Zayis. Rav Ashi teaches the halacha in this manner: if one had intended to eat half an olive bulb beyond its designated time, and then intended to regard to a whole olive bulb to eat half of it outside its designated area and half of it beyond its designated time, Bar Kapara teaches that the offering is rendered pigul because the half an olive bulb is not effective to interfere where the intended pigul concerns a whole olive bulb. Amar Rav Yanai Chishev Shachlu Klavim Lemachar Pigul Dichsiv Et Izevel Yochlu Klavim Mechelek Yisrael. Rabbi Yanai says if one had intended dogs would eat the offering the next day, it is rendered pigul as it is written, and the dogs shall eat Jezebel in their portion of Jezreel. 2 Kings 9:10. The verse indicates that consumption by dogs is considered eating. Maskiv Ami Maskiv Ami Ella Me'ata Chishev Shitochu Eish Al-Machar Dichsiv Toch lehu eish lo nupach haki nami the people chitema haki nami haki nami. That's not echol chazi zayis lo haktir chazi gazayis kashol she'ein echila stofim. Rabbi Ami objects this. He says if that is so, then if one had intent that non-sacrificed fire would consume it the next day, as it is written, a fire not blown shall consume him, Job 20:26. This too should be pigul, and if you would say that it is indeed so, that is difficult, but didn't we learn in the Mishnah, if his intent was to eat half an olive bulb and to burn half an olive bulb not at the appropriate time or in the appropriate area, the offering is fit because eating and burning do not join together. Hachamaskinan dabke b'lashon hakta dichsi no delashon achila lachod ulashon hekta lachod. The Gemara responds: if one expresses intention to burn the offering in terms of consumption, it would indeed join together with intention to eat. But in the Mishnah here, we are dealing with a case where he expressed in terms of burning. The two intentions do not join together, since terms of consumption and terms of burning are discrete entities. Rav Ashi raises a dilemma. If one had intent that two people would collectively eat an olive bulb, what is the halacha? Do we follow the intent, in which case there is the requisite measure of an olive bulb, or do we follow those who eat and neither eats the requisite amount? Amar Abaye Tashma lechol chatzi zayis l'hakter chatzi zayis kasher she'ein achila v'tzara v'tzarafit. Abaye said, come and hear a proof from the Mishnah. If his intent was to eat half an olive bulb and to burn half an olive bulb beyond the designated time or outside the designated area, the offspring is fit because eating and burning do not join together. This is now returning officially to Daf 31b. To be continued.